Hello, welcome back to Wenzel's World. I want to talk to you about pipe tampers today. Got different type of pipe tampers here that I use, and so this is one I picked up out of the creek. Picked up a pipe tamper out of the creek. Well, it's just a little creek rock, and so I saw that, and I thought that'd fit down in a pipe. That little rock will. And I thought, well, that'd make me a nice little tamper. So I got that in there in the shop is where I usually keep that tamper. Just different type of tampers is what I'm going to show you. So there's one. And had somebody over a couple of 3 weeks ago doing some target practicing. So I picked up one of them empty shell casings. And so that's how long it is. And when I got it and started trying to use it, I thought I wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of extension on that. So I cut a little limb off of a bush out yonder in the side of the place and put that in there. Makes a good little tamper. It's just something different, you know. I like something that's different. So that's a tamper. Here's a tamper. I never seen nobody make. I just took a nail, and what it did then, this is I think it's a 10-penny nail. This looks like what the size of it is. So I took and I flattened out the end of it on my anvil. I flattened it out, and then I put a slight curve to it so I could dig with it. So that's my digging tool when I dig the dottle out. And of course, your tamping end then is the other end where the nail head is. So I made a tamper out of that. It's something different. And of course, here's another stick. Or see, I displayed one stick in that round, empty round. All right, so there's another stick. That's just a stick. I come out yonder in the woods, made me a tamper out of that. I've used that thing a lot. So I got that kind of a tamper. And I made this in here the other day, tamper. That's just a little bent stick and tamp with that end. And with this end right here then, see how I did that? I put that, took a pocket knife and whittled that little spoon or that little shovel, made a little shovel, a little spoon end out of that end where I could dig out the dottle. So there's one of them right there and all. He said, well, you ought to get you a real tamper. Well, I got a real tamper. I use it too. Pipe tool, you know. So I know you know what it is. Don't need me showing it too much, but anyway, that's a real handy little thing. So anyway, just thought I'd show some. I think that's all the tampers that I have. So I just thought I'd show some tampers this evening, and let me say the bass piper don't have anything on me. My chair rocks too. It just makes a lot of noise when it rocks. I like your channel there, bass piper. All right, well, I'm gonna get me up some pipe load of tobacco here. Got me a corn cob this evening. I've had this pipe a pretty good while now, so one of my corn cobs. So anyway, of course, it's from Missouri, Meerschaum corn cob. And in this cob, I'm going to be smoking my favorite, right now it is anyway, who, it could change. If it's my favorite today, then if I run across one I like better tomorrow, maybe it'll be the favorite. But my favorite aromatic blend, which I don't smoke a whole lot, I don't smoke a lot of aromatics right now. And so, anyway, is Missouri Malta. And so, that's what I'm going to be putting in this pipe right here. I got some stories I'm going to tell you. So, that's my Tampers I wanted to display. So, if you need to move along, why, you can do so. I'm going to tell a few stories, and if you listen to this channel to hear these stories, then let me get my pipe loaded here, and then we'll tell you some stories. It's I don't know what the eclipse was like where you were. I could tell we was sitting in there eating a meal, and so it'd been cloudy like, and so the sun came out, and the sun's out now, but it just looked a little funny. I remember back years ago. No, this is a different story. Oh my, I told you I got a bunch of stories. But I remember back years ago, I used to paint houses for a living, indoor and outdoor. And they said there was going to be one of them eclipses, and so, well, I was painting houses working because I'd made the trade for the job and the sun, and it wasn't raining, and I was painting outdoors, and I was working for the money, you know, and so I had to keep working. And whenever that eclipse come that time, why, I just, if I looked up, it didn't. I just looked up and glanced up. It just got weird looking that time of day that we had an eclipse. And I don't know, remember now when it was. Probably was something other back about 1980, later part of 1980s or in the 1990s is about when that eclipse was. So, when they said we was going to have one, I thought, well, I've been through one of them before. I mean, I just had to work, so I just worked. I mean, I didn't pay much attention to it. So, anyway. Alrighty. Get this booger lid here. Well, let's see. I'll take this here tamper. These little stems, them little rubber pipe bits, they won't fit on them. Well, they they are too big for these stems. This stem's too small for them rubber pipe bits. So, of course, they don't cost very much. You can get another stem for it. I've chewed on it quite a bit, not trying to, just smoking the pipe. You mind if I get it lit real good before I tell you this story? Let me see if I can't get it lit real good. I blow all that out so I can taste it. Now I'm gonna start tasting it. I'll tell you the story in a minute. I know. Take a long draw there at the last, maybe to keep it lit longer. But when I was a little boy, I said something to my daddy. I said, Daddy, I said, build me a house. I wanted something I could get in, and play around in. And I was probably, I don't know, 7, 8 year old, whatever it was. Well, it ain't gonna stay lit, is it? If it don't never get these stories told. If it don't, why, I just have to let it go out. All right. Well, like I said, when I was a little boy, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, whatever it was, I said something to my dad. I said, Dad, I want to build me a house. And so he sort of complained about it, but he took some doors. We had some old doors out there, I guess in a barn or something, wherever we had them. And he took some planks and split them with a hatchet or an axe or something, and made stakes out of them, and put a stake on one side of the door and a stake on the other side of the door, and then come over here then on the other side and put a couple of stakes down on that door, and in the back then, why, he put something back there, whatever it was, and either tacked it or put a couple of stakes on each side. That propped it up, that's what that did. And so, and I said something to my daddy. I don't remember if it was about that or if it was about something else I wanted. He said, Why don't you build it yourself? Okay. And that was my introduction to carpentry. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is the different things I've built. The first thing I remember building was a tree house. I wanted a tree house. So I found me a place out there, in the fence row. Had a stout enough tree or trees, I guess it was 2 or 3 trees in the fence row. And my daddy, him being a carpenter, he always had some planks of some kind around. So I got me some of them planks and some nails and a hammer and went over there then, and I built me a tree house. Oh. And so anyway, I never will forget it. Me and, I don't know, 2 or 3 other neighbor boys, we all got up in the tree house and the thing broke. That one of them floor joists up there broke. It wasn't very big. I think it was something like a 2x2. That ain't very big. And so I got up in the tree house, and with them other boys, and the thing broke. Well, we just come down out of it. Is all we did. We didn't fall. It didn't collapse. It didn't tear up. It just broke. But there was enough planks and stuff tacked on, on that other joist that was onto it. It kept us from getting hurt. Well, we moved from that place. The road came through. They bought that place. The state did. Put the new road through. So we moved to another place. And then we moved from there to another place and stayed at this place I'm about to tell you about. The old Trice place, we called it. Trying to keep my pipe lit. And so I'm looking at doors. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at things. I guess I'll look at you. And so the next place we moved to, then I wanted a tree house. Well, I was older, and I built one better, and I put a roof over it, put a door on it, and everything. Well, I had a door. I had a big old, I think it was a piece of plywood, and I cut it to fit, to make my front door to my tree house. Well, I wanted to be able to look out the door. I wanted a window in the door. Well, I didn't know how to put a window in the door. And I wanted to, so I tell you what I did. I waited till a time when my mom and daddy wasn't at home, and I took my shotgun, and I blowed a hole in the door, and then I had a hole there, and I don't know whether I took a keyhole saw or what I did, and then I went around there and I made me a window in the door, and that's how I got the window started. I shot a hole in it with my 410 shotgun. So that was the next thing that I built. One Christmas then, while we still lived at that place, my daddy and mama and my parents, they got me for Christmas, they got me a tent, pup tent. I think 2 or 3 steel traps, probably one and a half Blake and Lamb long spring traps. I may not mean much to you if you ever done any trapping and you got a little age on you. You remember them. They don't make them no more. Blake and Lamb. And so anyway, had that and had a machete in that I got for Christmas. Pup tent, them steel traps, and a machete. And I took that machete and I went out and I cut me down in the woods where we lived at down in Tennessee, in Middle Tennessee. We had these red cedar groves. I mean, cedar thickets. I mean, they just everywhere out there. I cut me down enough cedar trees because the man that I cut them off of, he didn't care if I cut the cedar trees down. I cut enough cedar trees down out there with that machete that I made me a log house. Now, don't think something that you'd want to live in. Here I am, probably, I don't know, 12 years old or whatever. And so I went out there. I just piled basically wasn't great big logs. They just poles. And I just, piled them up on top of each other, like that. I put me a tin roof on it, put me a door on it, and lined the inside with cardboard. So that was the next thing that I built. Well, we moved from that place then and moved to the place where my parents finished raising me and where they finished their life. And I built a tree house there. And then when I was probably about, I don't know, I guess I was 17, 18 years old, whatever it was, I wanted a trapper's cabin. So next door to my parents' house, I don't know, it was probably 100 feet away or something like that, 50 yards, whatever it was. I went out and I cut me down a bunch of poles again. But this time I put them in the ground like you would an outbuilding. Took me some masonite siding and went around it and put plyboard on the top and plyboard for the roof and put roll roofing on the top. I built I think it was a 16 by 12 building. And so I built that. And then on the front of it, a little bit later on, I wanted to add on to the front of it. So I put it was just a shed roof on that, and then I put on the front of it a cone roof with a bedroom in there. And then over here then I had a little porch, and so I eventually closed in the little porch and made that my skinning and fleshing and drying for pelts room. So that was the next place that I built in. Well, that place, it burned down in 1982, I think it was. That place, it burned down. I was out there burning some brush and burning the yard off and some brush. I didn't pay much attention, and it got up under that house, and then within 30 minutes, it's ashes. Everything I had in there, all ashes. Ashes and warped metal, that's what you got when a place burns down. Well, the next place then, I built another place. I built it better in that same spot. And built it, I think it was probably like something like a 14 by 16, 12 by 16, whatever it was. Well, in a few years, I don't know, 4 or 5 years from that, I got married. We lived in a place. The lady at church let us live there in her house that she'd moved out of. Great old big house, had 13 rooms in it. The living room was 18 by 18. Hard to heat that thing in the winter. We lived there for, I don't know, about 3 years. Let me see how long I've been on here. Oh, me, 21 minutes. Well, the next place, we moved from that place, my wife and myself and our child. We moved from that place and we bought a place. And my parents, they helped me to financially be able to get started there. We bought a little over 5 acres of nothing but land. Part of it was clear, it was a field, and the other part was woods. That's just perfect for me. And so everything that we had there, I built. I fenced it off. I put water in. Had electricity put in. We didn't have any of that there. Had a septic tank put in. Bought a brand new single wide trailer. I built the front porch on the front of it. Had a cedar porch to it, cedar post. Built a room on the back of it to put a wood heater in to burn wood for the winter. I needed a barn for goats. I milked goats. I drank the milk. So I built a little shed out waiting down in front of the house, a piece down there. Then I added on to it. Then somebody at church, they wanted me to, they're going to give away a garage if somebody tear it down and move it. So I tore it down and reassembled it there on that place and made that barn with that, put me a loft in it and all that stuff. On that same place in the back, I had some hogs back there in the woods and had it all fenced off. Well, I built a house for the hogs out there. Then in front of it, a little piece, I wanted a barn in the back out there where I could have me a regular milking parlor. And so I built me a barn out there, put me a concrete floor on one side of it, and it was something like a probably 12 by 8 or something with a concrete floor. Had 2 milking stands for my goats, ramps to come up. I'd milk on one side while this goat was eating. On the other side, the goat would be eating. And then I'd milk it. Then I'd open these front doors, and those 2 goats would go out. I'd bring some more in. I was bottom feeding calves with them. Of course, we was using the milk too, and all. So I built that place. Well, we moved from there and moved around a time or two. Wound up on this place where we are now. And so when I come here, then, well, I've built this building I'm sitting in. I built it. Then I built a side shed on it. This was a shop in here, unfinished shop on the inside. Well, I've made it into my study, and then the shop, I got it next door over there. And so I built this place, and I built that shed out yonder, put the mowers in, because the barn back there, all that stuff back there, got a creek back there, it floods in it. Then I built a side shed over yonder, used to be for my dogs and so forth and all. And so I took that concrete slab and added some more concrete to it and built a side shed over there. Then I built a little barn over yonder for my goats, and that's where I milk at now, is over across the creek over there. So anyway, from the time that I was a child, and I said to my daddy then, I said, well, I want you to build me. And he said, why don't you build it yourself? From that, I've done a lot of building. A lot of building. So anyway, you know, I bet you building something. What are you building? I hope you're building a strong home. You know what I mean with that? I don't mean a stick house. I hope you're building a strong home. I hope you and your wife and family, I hope y'all got y'all's home upon a strong foundation. And that strong foundation is the Lord Jesus Christ. You building something, and hope you're building upon this firm foundation, Christ Jesus. Well, till we meet again, you have a good one.